Hi, it's Tom with Digital Foundry. So imagine you're looking for a phone to just play Pokemon Go, but don't want it to cost the earth. We're talking about a budget device that hits all the requirements to play the game, perhaps as a present for younger kids who don't have their own phone yet, or even yourself as a dedicated Pokemon Go machine next to your regular phone. Well, perhaps the most exciting Google search return for this was the Oukitel K4000. This is a 5-inch phone that costs £60 on eBay or $100, and to be honest, we didn't expect much based on that price. But once we got our hands on it, we were actually quite surprised with what it could do. Now, this isn't a review of the phone as such, but more a look at how well it achieves one thing: playing Pokemon Go. And well, on the surface, the game doesn't really demand a lot to run, and the Oukitel K4000 ticks all the necessary boxes. Firstly, Pokemon Go demands that your Android firmware be between version 4.4 and 6, which the K4000 very much does. Next, it needs GPS support, so that knows where you are in the world, ideally 2 GB of RAM and a 720p screen, plus a 3G connection or better, and basically all of that is covered by this device. So the K4000 fits the bill, and actually playing the game is a surprisingly fluid experience too. Roaming the streets and capturing Pokemon, all the 3D parts run as smoothly as you'd hope. And in my experience, the GPS and 4G signals also hold up consistently on the phone's antenna in the UK. Now, I personally use a Note 4 in my day-to-day, a handheld that's 5 times the price of this K4000. But insofar as playing Pokemon Go, the actual playing experience is very similar. The only part that does show this phone's limits is the Pokédex menus, which run at a lower frame rate, but everything to do with the basic gameplay runs well. Basically, if this is all I wanted it for, I could happily make do with a cheaper phone. But is there a catch? Well, the short answer is yes. There are 2 pitfalls to the K4000 here, the first being that this phone features no gyrometer sensor at all, meaning the augmented reality part of Pokemon Go simply doesn't work. For those unsure of what this means, essentially, you won't be able to see Pokemon appear over the real-world images provided by your camera when battling. The phone can't track movement, so it doesn't have the capacity to figure out these creatures' positions on screen as you look around. The good news is this game does let you switch this feature off anyway, with an option to the top right. This way, when you bump into a Pokemon on the K4000, you just see them appear on a pre-made background instead. No camera or gyrometer involved. The extra advantage to playing this way is, of course, it saves massively on battery life, which is a recurring problem with any game that relies heavily on your GPS, camera, and so on. Which leads me to my second issue with the K4000, the weight. This phone is not only relatively thick for a 5-inch phone at 10.5mm, but it also has a fair bit of heft, weighing in at 208 grams. Even coming from a bigger phone like the Note 4, this thing stands out for being much weightier and bulkier in your pocket. It's a matter of preference, and I was happy to work with it for a while, but this is a snag for anyone looking for something more portable. For a game like Pokemon Go, that's a double-edged sword though. Yes, it's lacking the convenience of other devices using lighter materials, but the main reason it is so heavy is the removable 4000 mAh battery at its back. It's absolutely colossal by most phone standards, and though we haven't given it any long-term stress tests so far, it does get us a day's worth of intensive use from this app. Speaking on the K4000 in more general terms, build quality is also surprisingly decent. It's mostly designed from cheap plastics as you'd expect, though a chamfered metal rim helps make it feel more rugged in the hand. Oukitel also uses Gorilla Glass 3 for that IPS screen, the same protective layer you'll see on top-end phones like the Galaxy S7. In fact, the manufacturer uses durability as a key selling point of this product, and they produce demo videos like this showing the screen getting battered and hammered in all sorts of ways and coming out well for it. We'd definitely not recommend trying this at home though. Now, predictably, the camera is not great, and the screen itself does have poor color reproduction out of the box, and looks visibly washed out compared to the OLED displays on Samsung devices. But hey, we didn't expect much at all, and it's perfectly adequate for what we need it for. Overall, it's a ruggedly built phone, and yes, actually worked with internet browsing and making phone calls, so that's a bonus. So there you have it, that's the Oukitel K4000, a £60 phone that can capably run Pokemon Go. If you can overlook the lack of the gyroscope sensor and the weight of the unit as a whole, I'd say it's well worth checking out if you're keeping to a budget. Again, we hadn't expected much at all for the money, and it's obviously not the most elegant handheld device out there, but for a low-cost entry point to the Pokemon Go experience, you can't really go too far wrong. Anyway, that's all from me today. If you found this useful and want to see more hardware reviews like this, please do like and subscribe below for more. And until next time, thanks for watching.